Where does Godzilla Poopcast number 49, which is one number, like one integer less than 50, which is significant, presumably. Hooray!
Hey! You know, by the time we get to 50, it will, in theory, be pretty much exactly 1 year since we
doesn't make any sense as well, because we've done it weekly.
We missed a couple of weeks, and then there was like multiple Christmas ones or whatever. But in terms of the canonical podcasts, then 50 will be exactly 1 year, which we should remember because I just looked at our archive this morning because I thought we started in July or something last year, the site. Yeah. And then like the first thing on the website was like June the 8th, so I missed that anniversary. I was like, okay, what's the first actual proper like non-test article? And that was like June the 13th or something. And then like the first thing I wrote was on like June the 16th. So we missed every conceivable anniversary except the podcast. So we'll be there next week.
The podcast is obviously the main thing on the website. Obviously, it goes without saying. It's the most entertaining, informative,
and timely.
Yeah. If you listen to our post E3 podcast, which was definitely post E3,
it was definitely post E3. Yeah, I couldn't say this before.
We released it after Microsoft changed the DRM, and we were talking about the DRM as if it was still a thing. So on the pulse.
Correction. Yeah,
I thought we made predictions.
Gives us something to talk about this week, doesn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
This is the Where Does Godzilla Poopcast. We are three humans who happen to live in Japan. That doesn't mean we like girls in school uniforms. Stop it. We often talk about computer games. Speaking of computer games, before we get onto the Xbox boring bullshit, there is a sale. If you're listening live, which is no one, there is a sale on Steam right now for Paradox Interactive Games, and one of such games is Cities in Motion 2, and I just bought it. Oh yeah.
I thought you already had that.
I had the first one. I didn't buy the second one because it was like I hadn't been playing the first one for that long, and then the second one came out and it was like £20, and I was like, yeah. I do like Cities in Motion, but.
So does this mean now you're not buying Last of Us?
I don't know. I'm not sure. That's Jay fucking around with his cables again. God damn it, Jay.
I just muted. I had a cough a little bit. So,
okay. So that's what it's muting. That's what makes a noise, is it? When you're muting stuff.
Maybe I was editing myself on the fly. That's how professional we are.
In-camera editing. I also paid for Rising Storm, which is the Red Orchestra 2 spin-off? Add-on? It's weird because I'd already bought Red Orchestra 2, and whenever I tried to... Well, on Steam, it did an update, and then the title of it changed to Rising Storm / Red Orchestra 2, and I was able to play on Rising Storm servers, but I was only able to be a rifleman, and I didn't get any XP. So it was almost like if you bought one game, you automatically get a quite extensive demo for the next one, or something.
Did we talk about Red Orchestra before, or did I?
I think we have.
I think we did.
I played that. We played together a couple times.
It's a proper PC shooter.
It is.
Okay, that's probably if we did talk about it. I mentally checked out of that conversation.
World War II, one bullet kills you most of the time. You really have to think about line of sight and staying in cover and working as a team and causing distractions.
That's kind of that's how Last of Us multiplayer is continuing in a sense. Because I was quite good at it last weekend.
In the first 7 minutes of it being online.
And now we're absolutely fucking humped because everybody's working together now. I'm just like a dude.
They're just sitting in their groups and chatting and.
You need like with good if you're just one guy trying to be sneaky catchy monkey, and you're playing against two people, who are even, their teams of four, but even if like two people are working together, they're so smart, they'll lure you into places and then just absolutely like fucking hammer you.
I've heard that.
Really it's good though. It's good though. I mean, the whole game is good. I came across one bit where I was tearing my hair out, and like I almost thought, why did you do this? Why did you put this bit in there? But I mean, apart from that, like everything else has been absolutely wonderful so far. And I'm still like I've played it for like 7 hours of the single player, and like I'm still nowhere near feeling I'm at the end. So I don't know. The
Before
review
we
will
hear
have to
more
wait
about The
until I
Last
finish
of
it.
Us, I want to talk about Red Orchestra 2 some more. And
Well, it kind of what I want to say applies to both, because it's, for me, for a game to be fun, or at least let's say a shooter, a team-based shooter to be fun, bullets need to be scary.
Mm,
And there are
yes.
so many. Most of the shooters out, bullets aren't scary. You can absorb 20 of them before you go down.
yeah.
I don't know quite how it is. In Last of Us, it looks like you need to be hit a couple of times, unless it's like a close-up shotgun blast or something.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the same way in Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Yeah, Call of Duty, you run around and your screen's constantly red, and you get like 7 kills before you go down.
Yeah, I mean I play like the stealth class, so like the gun you have in that is fairly ineffectual because you're supposed to be shivving people and using
Right.
your bow and shit. But the assault classes and the guys with like shotguns and rifles and stuff, they just fuck you right up. But I mean you hardly have any ammo at the same time, so you've got to weigh that up.
I'd say what would make Red Orchestra the perfect game would be environmental damage. Shit would break around you, kind of like how
Yeah.
it does in Battlefield. That
It's
would be
very
the
much a
only thing.
next-gen-y thing, though, isn't it? Kind of using physics and stuff to hurt you.
Yeah.
Do you remember though when like Unreal Engine 3 was becoming a thing, and then every game had destructible cover? Like it was just like shoehorned in. I remember fucking what was that game? It was like a co-op. It was like Conflict Desert something. Like
Desert Storm?
yeah, maybe it was like a co-op thing.
It was called Conflict Desert Storm. It's safe to say I didn't play it.
Yeah, probably. And I remember like I don't know, seeing there were just so many videos about its destructible cover because the actual game was shite. But I mean, that's all I can remember.
I remember getting really excited about it's probably the most recent actually, Brothers in Arms, before that came out, because I've always played the Brothers in Arms. I love the sort of the miniature tactical sort of. You've got 2 or 3 guys with you. You can tell them where to be. You create flanking situations and make sure that they can't flank you. You always have your eyes open, even if you're not shooting something. I love thoughtful shooting games, basically, I guess is what I'm saying, and Red Orchestra counts for that.
That's why you're interested in the XCOM.
Yeah, the Bureau, because it basically looks like Brothers in Arms in the XCOM universe, which is jizzworthy. That's all you need to say. I so really want it to be good. I need it to be good, because it's XCOM and it's a shooter, and it looks like a half decent shooter, and there's cover and there's flanking, and there's you control your other guys. You stop and give them orders, and you can time their grenade throws with your charge so that the dudes are all flustered and they can't stop you running at them, and then you can shank them. I want it to be good. It needs to be good.
You know what XCOM thing is good?
Is it XCOM Enemy Unknown, the good XCOM game? Brackets,
Yeah,
really
that
good
I,
XCOM.
that I can play on my phone now.
one you
It's
can play on
on
the
my
train.
phone.
The mobile version. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Shut up.
It's
on your phone,
unbelievable.
it's not
It
on my
is
phone.
slightly less pretty. That is the only thing that is different.
Yeah.
And it's all like, even the stuff that's less pretty. It's like lighting and some of the textures things.
Yeah, it's like fog
if you
and
look
things like that,
closely, but like I mean, the fixes don't look closely.
Yeah,
dickhead,
and
you
the
know?
faces don't move, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you're playing fucking XCOM on your fucking phone.
Yeah. And I mean, the multiplayer is coming in a free update later on as well. So
Has it
everything's in it.
has
It's
it forced
amazing.
you to go out shopping to buy an extra battery pack for your phone?
It does. It's really sort of processor intensive and really battery intensive as a result of that.
I've
Like,
been
what
thinking
if?
about this recently. If I could get a phone that's basically as powerful as mine now, which is a generation old, and by the time I think about getting another one, it'll be 2 generations old. If I can
Yeah.
get the phone that's basically the same as I've got now, but the battery lasts 4 or 5 days,
Right.
I will pay good money for that. Remember on the good old days on the Nokias when you could play Snake for like a week before your phone needed recharging.
Right.
It's a joke. I'm charging my phone at work between classes. I will let it charge and I'll come back and it's 100%. And by the time I go to the next class, it'll be down to like 65%. It's a
Yeah.
joke.
Mine's not quite like that, but it's pretty. Yeah, I have to ration stuff like XCOM because like if you play, I'm still early on in it, obviously, but like if you play like a standard length mission, that's probably like about 30-40% of your battery,
Yeah.
which is nuts. But I
I
mean,
have
it's
a
interesting to see. Like, I kind of had this thought that with XCOM being on the phones, it's kind of like the indie games being self-published on the PS4. It's like the antithesis of where XCOM is, can this model that's been built on 99p, or 99 cent, 85 yen games support a premium product? Like this is the watershed moment in the same way that like self-publishing on the consoles, in the next generation is like, can this model that's been built on $60
Hmm.
experiences support cheapy $2-3 games?
I think it's going to be the interim though, because without it already being a success on consoles, it wouldn't have anywhere near the amount of Steam that it's going to Steam that it's going to have coming out on phones. Like if it
Yeah.
just came out, I mean, yes, it's made by Firaxis, but let's take that. Was it called Ace Patrol or something?
Yeah.
Look at that as an example. That's made by a famous developer. But
Mm.
where do you hear about it? Like nerdy podcasts like this, it's not. There's not trailers going viral everywhere on the like computer
Right,
game
right.
internet like there is for XCOM.
Yeah. I mean, Deus Ex would be the other interesting one. I don't know what sort of price point they're launching at, but it would have to be up there, I assume.
Yeah, yeah. But it remains to be seen whether a properly big, high budget, well made, long, deep game can come out on iPhone for $20 or whatever without it already being a massive success on another platform. I think that's going to be when you find out. I mean, even the big prices that we've got at the moment are this, and then like bizarrely out of touch priced Square games.
Right, sure, yeah.
So I think even if this does really well, we can't really say it. Oh, it's a success. You can release proper games on iPhone now because you can re-release proper games on iPhones. That's all it's proved. Well, that's all it will prove. I mean, I hope it does really well. Just because I don't necessarily. It's not like I'm rooting for Apple to do well or I'm rooting for Android phones to do well. I just think it's made for that platform. I think it's more ideal than sitting at a PC. I think that game is more designed, or not designed for, but more suited to having a screen that you can look away from occasionally. You don't have to sit there and sweat and stare at it.
Yeah.
You can be doing other things at the same time. Like if you get one of those extra battery packs and a little wind-up machine, you're on a flight or something. That'll keep that. You can literally play that game for an entire flight to somewhere, and you would never get bored because it's that
Sure.
good. And
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah,
It just makes
it's not
sense.
words with friends, is it?
That was my quote of the day. It just makes sense.
It just makes sense, right?
does
Sorry,
just make
I
sense.
didn't hear it. Yeah.
I bought that Hunters episode 1 since
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about it a couple of weeks ago. And that seems like a shittier XCOM. I wish I'd bought XCOM, but
Right,
it doesn't exist
right.
on Android.
Yeah.
What else did I get? The Humble Indie Bundle, Humbin Bundle. There's an Android one at the moment. You get Frozen Synapse. You can get. I'll tell you what. I'll bring up the website so I'm not just sitting.
Are you?
thinking.
Does Frozen Synapse work on your phone or is it just a tablet thing? Because like Frozen Synapse on iOS is just on iPad.
Yeah, it's only on my tablet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get frozen synapse if you pay a little extra, like up to like.
Yeah, so you have to beat the
4.75
average to get Broken Sword and Frozen Synapse.
Broken Sword is good. Like that director's cut they put out. It's nice.
Yeah.
Aquaria.
well handled.
That is.
What the devil's going on here?
Aquaria, Fractal.
I think there's an older Humbin bundle that I got that had Android games in it, and I'm gonna allow you to listen to me while I go. Avedon the Black Fortress.
Okay.
Kind of grid-based, very old school D&D feeling thing. The sort of thing I used to look at and go, but now I'm actually kind of attempting to play it. What I did do today, though, because today we're recording on Friday night Japan time, and the NBA Finals happened this morning Japan time, so I've been unable to go on the internet. So I have no news to talk about, no games to talk about, because I've not been able to go on Twitter, Facebook, haven't even been able to go on YouTube to watch game videos because I'm subscribed to basketball things, and the titles of videos might give the final game. Game 7
I could tell
of the
you
NBA
one.
Finals away. If you do, I will seriously find your address and I'll come and strangle you whilst kneeing you in the nuts.
I should. I think our guests would be interested.
You need to play something that you can just go through in one sitting until.
Well, yeah,
and
in that
distract
time,
you.
I played Contre Jour. On my tablet, and I don't care what you say. It's a really well designed, not quirky. It's the music's really nice, and I want to say that the music from the second world is from Amelie. I want to say they used it in Amelie.
Yeah,
you can actually read about that game on where.
Jay wrote a review, and I disagreed with Jay at the time. I thought it's artistically something they just ripped from Limbo, and it's just so fucking widespread in the indie space.
It uses black and white and shadow.
Yeah,
and stuff,
I mean, and then in terms of actually being a game, it's a chill and go 3-star puzzler, and God.
Yeah, it is, but I wasn't treating it like anything more than that. I got it, in a humble bundle, so it came to about 20 cents. I'm not saying it's, if you listen to Idle Thumbs, I'm not saying it's the Citizen Kane of games, but it's a very I'd say it's better than most of those 3-star little puzzle games, and it's prettier, and the music's great. So
I did actually play a 3-star puzzler. It's not strictly a 3-star puzzler, but it effectively is. That came out this week is Icebreaker. That's Rovio are publishing it, but they didn't make it. It's really cool. It's kind of it's a physics puzzler meets Lost Vikings. So the deal is you've got to gather all the Vikings on your sort of Viking ship of war or whatever, and a lot of them are encased in ice and hanging from ropes and stuff, and you've just got to swipe strategically to slice bits of ice off so they slide around the level, and then eventually make their way onto the boat where your little Viking dude smashes the ice cubes up and frees them or whatever. And in itself, it's not particularly exciting, but it's really well sort of presented. It's got an endearing look to it. And I just finished. I played Home for a couple of hours yesterday and got to the end of that, so needed something a little bit lighter. I don't had you heard of Home on PC when it came out last year? You have Home.
Yeah,
okay. I think I bought it at some point as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I mean it came out on iPhone yesterday, which I think really fits really well on an iPhone as opposed to PC, because what it strikes me as is that it's this sort of gloomy. They call it. The guy says it's a horror game. It's not. It's kind of more of a suspense kind of pick your own adventure thing, and it stands out much better than that than if you go, I'm going to play a horror game, and then go, oh, this isn't really scary. But I love the way it looks, because it's sort of generic sort of bit art stuff, but it's done in such a way that on a phone it looks really a lot like a Game Gear game or a Lynx game, where they never had the screen real estate to deal with. So what they used to do would be make the character sprite really, really big, and then the environment's kind of small, because they wanted to show off the animation of the main sprite or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So it really evokes those kinds of games, and then of course it makes it kind of claustrophobic, because you can't really see what's ahead of you and stuff. But I mean, it's interesting. There's no combat in it or anything like that. You're just kind of walking around, and he's kind of got these text pop-ups where it's like an unreliable narrator kind of trying to recollect the events of what has happened and stuff. And gradually, the further you go, the more you see of this guy's kind of bitterness and kind of feelings and stuff. And the way the game ended for me, I kind of saw it coming a really long ways off, but it was kind of fun to get there. And there was nice bits where when it gets to the end of that game, it straight up kind of through this unreliable narrator asks you questions of you, and asks you what do you think is going on. So he might be like, oh, I found the bloody knife next to my chair or something, I didn't use that knife, did I? It's not mine, is it? And then it says yes or no. So it's like it's up to you to interpret what actually happened, which is interesting.
So is that just choosing a branching path, or do you win or fail?
There's no win. There's no sort of fail states to it. It's just literally like kind of the blurb and the ending you get is kind of a little bit dependent on what
so
you actually
like,
think.
You're not literally deciding whether he was a murderer in the story.
No, it's up to you to interpret that. And once you get to the end, it feeds you a URL where you can just go and visit that and then post what you think and read what other people thought of what they got. That's kind of cool. Okay. It's like an hour long, so I mean, like if you've got it sitting on your PC, you need to avoid the sports spoilers. Like do that for an hour.
I've heard they're going to do the same with the next Call of Duty with the ending of that.
Yeah,
you just go, what do you think it means?
What do you think?
On a message board, I think it means popcorn, football, boom, 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 boom.
It's all about the dogs.
It's all about the dogs. The dog is you. I thought Call of Duty 4 had quite an intelligent story for what it was.
I'm just being mean. I'm not,
it was Modern Warfare 2 that was the turning point, wasn't it? We were all gone, oh god.
Modern Warfare 1 was lovely.
Modern Warfare 1 was.
And they fucked off right after that, right? Did they do anything else?
No, they did 2. They did Modern Warfare 2,
yeah,
which was, it just felt like they didn't give a shit, in the single.
That wasn't the B. Was it the original Black Ops that was the B team before Modern Warfare 2? Maybe.
The B team before Modern Warfare 2 was World at War, which never came out in Japan because, for the most part, you're killing Japanese people in it and setting fire to them.
It's so wet, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can't possibly sell this because people might get upset. Well, everyone.
I don't know. Well, I was going to say I don't know how well Call of Duty 2 does in Germany, but I think it's banned there. So. Because everything, lots of things are banned in Germany, yeah. But
with
not
good reason.
Porn containing vegetables going places.
Right. Sorry.
Right.
On that note,
I was
not joining me on that journey. Okay.
Hey, thanks for gifting me the Humble Bundle 6 for Android.
Humble Bundle. I've just checked, and it does work on phones. I was lying earlier when I said it. Frozen Synapse only works on tablets. It's Abaddon that doesn't work on phones.
There you go. That's something to make me mildly jealous because I don't have a tablet.
I'm definitely going to put this both on my tablet and my Android tablet.
How much do you think I could get an older iPad that will be able to run XCOM 4?
Apparently, it runs like janky shit on an iPad 2. So for iPad 2, read iPad Mini as well. Like you
what
need
are
at
iPads
least
up to now then? How many generations back is that?
5, 4, 5.
So if I got a 3, it might be quite cheap.
Yeah.
I don't need it. It's just for one game. It'll come out eventually. I can wait. But you know what I'll probably be able to do is possibly, maybe, probably not. That Nvidia Shield thing when that eventually comes out.
Oh, because they
cut
the price to $300, didn't they? From whatever ridiculousness it was before.
Yeah,
is that the tablet with the handles on the side that you can attach to it?
No, that's different. But I know what you mean.
That's the Razer. Okay, that's what I'm
Yeah.
The Razer.
The Razer ridiculous.
The Nvidia Shield is the one that's basically a ripped-off Xbox 360 controller with a fold-out screen that can play Android games straight up like an Ouya can. So I'm pretty much guessing every game that works on Ouya will be ported to normal Android, so you can buy it and use your controller on the Shield. And also, it can output. You can stream games from your PC straight to your Shield and play it like on a little handheld. So you're effectively playing on it's like the Wii U, pretty much. You're playing the game remotely, but in your house, kind of thing. So you're playing on a little screen, but it looks shit hot because it's your powerful PC running it. You can also output that to your TV, so you don't need to haul your big computer into the living room, but you can play, proper PC games on your living room TV.
Like HDMI, or
I think it's probably got an HDMI out. It might even be a wireless. Maybe you have to buy it separately anyway. I'm not sure. Don't know about that.
Wow, if it was wireless, it would. That's like.
There's lag
a crazy number of steps, isn't it? You're streaming from your PC to this controller and then the controller to the TV.
Yeah. Well, it's still the same number of steps, but apparently there's no lag to it. It just works, and it's awesome. So I'm considering switching to an NVIDIA card now, because the thing they've also got is NVIDIA Experience, which is, it basically downloads the latest NVIDIA driver in the background, which should have been a thing 10 years ago. But you'll always have, when a new game comes out, they specifically alter the generic NVIDIA driver so that it works, basically, on all their cards.
$300 though, I mean, like, that's a lot for what is essentially an accessory.
I've always been happy with NVIDIA. I think I've never used the other one. What's the other one? AMD's Crossfire, whatever.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah.
Just be careful with all the bloatware that you get with the video card, is because they want to change your sound drivers.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they want to just take it. They got software that just wants to take control over your computer. You gotta go in and make sure, uncheck those boxes.
So at the moment, the other than the very, very top tier, which is the GTX Titan and like the very, I think 7790 or something, the very top two $1,000 graphics cards, there's a big drop in price below that to about 600 or something like that, and then but the performance. Yeah, it is expensive, but the choice for me is: do I pay 30 or 40? By the time those consoles come out, 30 or less thousand yen to upgrade my graphics card to be better than the consoles, or do I pay 40,000 yen to go out and get one of the consoles?
Or you could do a friend of mine who
someone who isn't me.
I'm hardly embarrassed by it. He's getting an Oculus Rift, or that's his plan anyway, right? Which I think, okay, fair enough. I can't really equate that in my mind with complete awesomeness, because like there's going to be lots of things that don't really support it, and I kind of feel like you're going to spend an awful lot of money for what I would deem as an accessory instead of something that's new in any way. But he's also buying like a multi-directional treadmill thing.
Awesome.
To put onto it. So he's going to be like, I said on Twitter, do you remember, Dave? Maybe you're too young. A difference in ages. Like you're like 3 years younger than me. Do you remember Cyberzone with Craig Charles?
Cyberzone? No, I don't. It sounds.
It was on like before Ren and Stimpy, like on weekdays on BBC Two. And then, do you remember, like, in the early 90s, they had, like, the youth, like, edgy, oriented hour on BBC Two that was called Death 2. Like, DEF, Death 2. So, I mean, this is crazy. And, like, one of the shows on it was, like, Cyberzone, where it was, like, when Lawnmower Man was coming out and virtual reality was big. Like for the first time, everything was like really shitty, like untextured 3D, like squares and triangles and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it was a game show where they would wear these virtual reality goggles and then walk around on these treadmills and stuff and solve puzzles and things to win prizes. And every time my friend talks about his plans for the next generation to have Oculus Rift and a fucking treadmill, I think of this show. And I tried to look for it on YouTube, but I could find the intro to it. But I couldn't find, nobody's put an entire episode up.
Because it sounds like gold, to be honest.
It's amazing. Yeah, just look at Cyberzone.
I think I've seen the thing that he's probably going to buy, the treadmill thing. It's where you wear these shoes with little plastic balls in them. And when you're stepping, you're actually standing in grooves, so it registers where your foot is. The little you feel like you're walking, little tiny balls, but it's loud as fuck. Does he live in Japan?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna get complaints.
It's got a house though.
It sounds like a treadmill.
Right.
It doesn't move like one. It's stationary. It's like a hexagonal, octagonal shaped thing, and it's kind of slanted so that you're in the middle of it. It kind of dips in the middle, and you're sort of walking. You can change direction. You can strafe, and it can, because it's got so many grooves. It's got like, I don't know, 40 or 60 grooves or something around it. It can tell what direction you're walking in and things like that because of it. Because I was looking at that going, how much would it? It's basically an arcade get-up, isn't it? I've got a spare room. Everything I've read says it's really fucking loud, and no one in their right mind would ever have this in their real house.
Right. This mate of mine's doing it. So
Do you have to like balance yourself, or or you have like a waist belt
There's a little
that
thing
keeps you
that
stationary?
I mean, if you're an adult human and you're bodily able, you can probably walk. So it's you're not likely to trip up, but there is like a ring around you. You kind of have to get into it.
okay.
Right,
Oh my
right.
god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes, that's
Obviously,
what I
we'll
was
have to get
asking
video
for.
of this guy and put it on his
Yeah,
personal
fuck it, I'll go around
Facebook.
his house. Yeah. Oh my god, sounds
It sounds both
amazingly
brilliant and
dumb.
hilarious. I've got to say, it
Yeah.
does actually sound fun as well. I bet if you try it, you'll be like, "This is awesome," but I'm never going to do it again.
I'm never going to spend money on it. Yeah, sure.
I am looking at
Yeah.
Oculus Rift because they've said over E3 that it's the one thing I've heard from people is it's amazing but it's pixelated and kind of crappy, the screen quality.
Yeah, there was a really good feature in Edge, I think, last month, where there was a big feature on Oculus Rift, and like they were talking a lot about the design challenges and how you have to remake whole sections of your game, or whole parts of code to work with Oculus Rift, so it's not dumb, because it's
Yeah.
like most first-person shooters where you think of where the gun is on the screen. Like that kind of it's been part of the language of games now, but if you just put that straight on the Oculus Rift, it feels like the gun's coming out of your nose, like
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you got to lower it. You've got to do weird things with the camera and stuff.
Well, I mean, when you're aiming, it basically is at your face. How you shoot a gun.
Yeah, because it's as if you're holding the gun up to your face, isn't it? But
Oh, but then you have to incorporate a Kinect-like thing to raise things up to your face to do iron sights. Like my mate should get basically like this mate mine should just get one of those sort of motion capture suits
you should just
and
get
wear
himself
that
a Time
whenever he
Crisis
plays.
cabinet,
Yeah,
just in his
Yeah.
life. I'm sure it'll be fun though. We'll have a party at his house. I've decided.
right.
But yeah,
Just
no,
invite
these things are
yourself.
very cool, but they're very expensive, like all cutting edge tech style things.
Like the Xbox One.
The Xbox One. Yeah, they did announce that the what's it called? Oculus Rift is going to have 1080p screen in it now, so it's going to look pretty decent. So we'll see. I definitely want to give it a go and see how it turns out. But yeah, Xbox One.
Yeah.
Xbox
There's
180.
a segue.
Ha, no one's
Segue.
come up with that joke.
Because they've changed their mind. They've turned and
Ah,
all
Oh, I
Indeed.
get it now.
Yeah.
Oh, they did a 180.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah, it's also like a kind of funny lol. It's like half as good as a 360.
Yeah, there's that as well. Lovely stuff.
Oh yeah, math.
So now it's going to be like the PS3. You can give discs to people, and in a way, I'm kind of falling on the side of I wish they hadn't changed it. I kind of wish they tried it
You
out.
wanted to see them crash and burn?
No, I wanted to see how it turned out in 5 years.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like they shouldn't have changed it just to see how it would work out.
Yeah, we've now got to wait another 6 or 7 years for the actual next digital console. I mean, maybe we don't. Maybe it changes halfway
Yeah,
through
I
this
think
cycle.
so. But I mean, this cycle is where it's going to go. But I mean, it's like a lot of people have said this. Like Sony are doing the best way of transitioning to digital, because the point is shit. Like the market will decide this. Like it will just happen.
Yeah.
And if you make digital an attractive enough proposition, which you kind of do if you make if you let indies self-publish, if you let them set their own prices and have sales when they want and what have you, then digital will become an attractive enough proposition that it doesn't matter that you can sort of sell and trade your games at
can't,
shops or
yeah,
anything. It's just irrelevant,
Like on Steam.
and eventually those packaged things will go away. That is what what happened with the PC.
I've
And
got
what
plenty of games on Steam that I've only played for 45 minutes and don't regret it because they cost me £1.20.
And the thing is, like, again, like, I think I brought it up before, when Jim Sterling put his sort of video up about, like, the DRM stuff, was what made Steam good was competition. And, because there are all sorts of ways that you can put your shit up onto a PC. Whereas there's only one way of putting shit up onto console. There's only one marketplace.
Yeah.
So that, they're not, just because you can't buy a used game in a shop doesn't suddenly mean that you're going to get games for $10 on sale anymore. In fact, it means exactly the opposite. You're a captive market, and that therefore everything will always be $60 all the time. That's what EA do with Origin.
Go and look at Xbox now. Go and look at the games. What's it called, where you can buy full games?
On demand, games on demand.
Yeah, go and look at that now. And you're looking at Grand Theft Auto 4 for like £30.
Yeah,
and it's never been on sale and things like that. It's if you're not going to give control over to the people whose game it is to sell, then you've got to put a shitload of effort into marketing it and putting sales in and things like that. And if you don't, I've never bought anything on Xbox Live that isn't just an indie game where Xbox was the only place you could get it.
Yeah,
I've never bought a game digitally because it's the same price as getting a disc, and I can resell the disc. The problem that I had with the original plan was that you don't have the option of reselling the game. I'm going to be perfectly happy to buy cheap digital things, but I didn't for a second I didn't have any faith in that Microsoft would sell games for £15. 6 months after they came out, when they were £60 or £40 when they first came out, because they're lazy and they haven't done that in the past. Why would they start? Whereas Sony have just said, okay, the impression I get from Sony is that it's going to be a back end to a website. They can log in with their password, and they'll have games. This is publishers and developers I'm talking about now. They'll have games attached to their login account that they are administrators of. They can change the price and press enter, and it will change.
Yeah.
That's how I think the PlayStation Store is going to work. They've got a flat rate. We take a percentage. That's it. That's how it works. It's like iTunes. You put it up. We take a percentage. Microsoft, you have to go through certification. You can't do live updates. You can't, if there's a bug, you can't just send out the data and let people download it. Microsoft have to say, we've checked it and it's fine. Fuck off. Just let people sell their shit on your stupid box.
Yeah.
Voice there.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Sound great. Mr. Xbox. I want to do an experiment because I'm curious of something, because everybody is talking about.
Speak up, Jay. Speak up.
Okay, I'm right.
Oh God.
I want to do an experiment, because everybody's talking about how you cannot trade games on Steam, but I wonder if they're just talking about digital versions. When was the last time you bought a disc, a PC game disc?
It was probably, I want to say, Giants, Citizen Kabuto.
So it's probably been a while.
So that was 15 years ago.
Because I know it probably works with older games. I've given away my old
you said
Diablo
your
2
Xbox,
games.
Right, yeah.
But probably the newest game that I've tried this with was the Orange Box.
Yeah. I think the only new games you can buy physically on PC are like Japanese porn games.
StarCraft.
No, you
StarCraft
can,
came out.
You can play. You can play. You can buy Battlefield 2. I've seen.
This is lovely.
Battlefield 3. It's the newest one.
My response was, I wish they had done it. The problem I had was, there are people like you, Chris, who you buy a new game, you play it for 2 weeks, you finish it, you get all the joy you're going to get out of it, and then you sell it for 80% of the price you paid for it, 70% of the price you paid for it, and then you use that money, put a little bit extra towards it, and you go buy the next thing.
Yep.
There are plenty of people who live on the cycle like that. They live by the release calendar. I'm not one of them. I buy something and then don't play it for 6 months and regret it. But there are plenty of people whose whole buying pattern is based on that, and those people would be fucked if their plan went ahead. Now, my idea was, why not make it so that people can trade, like you trade items on Steam. You just open a chat box with somebody and press the trade button. You drag things into the box like it's an RPG and you press go. Why not make it so that you can sell your license to somebody else for whatever price you want? you can only sell it for the money that's in your account. You can't retrieve that money, so it's only money you can put towards games again in the future.
Because it doesn't. You just keep on butting your head against the wall of it doesn't make sense. It doesn't even make sense with physical discs, but it makes even less sense with digital goods because a piece of digital data is a piece of data is a piece of data. It doesn't change. So if I'm able to buy something used for 3,000 yen or buy something new for 5,000 yen on a digital storefront, why wouldn't I buy the used edition?
That you make it so that you get all the pre-order shit that you get from GameStop now. Do that with new versions of games.
Okay, right.
Incentivize it or make it so that there's a 2 or 3 month window where you're not allowed to use sales of a certain game or something like that. Do something with it. There'd be ways around it, and they could even make it so that they take a cut of whatever they take a 2 or 1% cut of whatever price that transaction ends up being.
That's what I was saying. That's the way it would benefit the publishers, the developers.
Yeah. I mean, Sony would have to take their end, and
that's a way of feeding the money
whatever.
back
I can't
through,
remember what they. Yeah, but it's weird. I don't know. I liked. I think Ryan Davis said it, but like this is Microsoft's new Coke moment, and I think like this is like I'm convinced this is going to be a thing that certainly we'll be talking about in the video game kind of nerdy talking about scene for generations and decades from now. And like I think it's going to be it's probably going to be something they'll teach in like business classes at university or whatever, is this kind of weird fucked up thing where they tried to do something and their messaging was so bad and so disastrous that they completely 180'd on it, and now it's like what happens. It's going to be interesting to see what does happen with the Xbox One now that messaging has completely altered. It's really bizarre, and I think as well it's really bizarre because this is the first generation that's going to be decided at the outset from like policies and services and not from games. Even last gen, at the start, the 360 and the PS3 were just games machines. So yeah, I mean,
is this 101 Microsoft? This is what not to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not like they didn't see it coming. It was all over the internet before they officially came out and said, "Yeah, that's really what we're doing." They should have had so much damage control already in place, and instead, they had Don Matrick going, "Well, fucking buy a 360 then, you losers." Oh, gross! That man should not be in a job. He handled it so fucking poorly. He put the face of a massive wanker on the whole thing. What a knob.
I think Phil Harrison as well, because like it's the second time he's been in a disastrous launch situation. Like he's gone from like PS3 at the peak of Sony's dickishness to like Xbox One at the peak of Microsoft dickishness.
It's just arrogance, isn't it? It's walking out and going, "Well, you'll fucking buy it anyway, you pleb. Shut up."
Right.
What they should have done is come out and said the next Halo will be $40 because we can save money by being digital only. Thanks, bye. If they'd come out with something you can hang your hat on and say, well, yes, it's going all digital and I can't resell it, or maybe they have some sort of sell back at 65% of what you paid or something like that, or 65% of the lowest price it's ever been in a sale or whatever. They should have come out with okay, we know that sounds wank now. Here's an incentive. Here's 2 or 3 games we know you're going to want, and we're going to make them cheaper. We're going to take that hit. Even if, in the transition period, publishers don't like it and things like that. Maybe publishers still need convincing of how this model can work. Then the publishers are going to be like, well, we're not going to lower the price of our games. Our games are $60. Well, Microsoft, you come out and you take that hit. You subsidize it. You've got to prove that the model works to people, and you've got to, allay those fears. But they didn't. They just walked out and said, well, deal with it.
Deal with it or buy a 360.
Yeah. I wish I'd stuck to the guns but not been dicks about it and had better guns.
I'm really interested. Like if assuming Microsoft are here and they're taking, chances to chat with them like a Tokyo Game Show, I'd really like to know what their plans are for live here.
Mm.
Because it's like, they announced it until the Xbox One launches, like every month, if you're a gold member on 360, you get a couple of free games.
Yeah.
And I think, what was it, the first, like Fables 3 and something else, Assassin's Creed 2 or something?
I only heard
And
about Fable.
and here, like those games aren't on demand on the Japanese Xbox Live. So you got a copy of Kinect Joyride, and it's just, I'd really like to know like what plans they have, because they've already ceded control. I mean, it's not, even if they were launching day and date, like they didn't have a chance here, but that they're launching like a year late, they certainly don't have a chance as a video games machine. They might find a niche as a media thing in the TV box, because live TV is a bigger deal in Japan than it is in the West.
I think in America it's bigger than we realize. I think America's a large proportion of people are still reliant on getting their TV from their cable providers, even if it means they also use Hulu and Netflix. But they have to,
but
to get
right.
HBO Go, you have to be an HBO cable subscriber and things like that.
Right. But even like just the on-demand thing just really hasn't taken hold here. It's like we just started because we still don't have the TV antenna on our house, and like my wife wanted to watch something, so like we started like a Hulu trial, right? And like Hulu in America, like you get everything the next day.
Mm.
But everything, even the Japanese dramas, are like really old, on the Japanese Hulu.
Yeah, there's like a whole season behind.
Right.
I have a
So
Hulu account too.
really,
It's very backward thinking, isn't it?
right.
It's kind of like old media transitioning into digital music sales and things like that. It's oof.
So I mean,
Things move slower here, and it's even more evident in going into the digital age. It's
but that's interesting, because it's live TV or nothing almost in Japan, and here's this system that works pretty much exclusively with live TV.
yeah, but think about how much money
there's use for
Microsoft
it.
are having to throw at HBO and people to either Microsoft themselves have to do it, or they have to pay people who work for the TV stations money to go and basically jump around Wikipedia, find all the information they can for all this second screen shit and everything, to make it actually have a unique selling point. They're going to put a shitload of man hours into it, like having the map come up on the screen when you're watching Game of Thrones and things like that. They're not going to do that for not in English, basically, unless Spanish
Well,
probably.
that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, they're not going to put the effort in, and it's 50,000 yen. It's not a
Yeah.
value box to put in your house. Full stop. It's
Yeah. I mean, I know the way they're spinning it is like, hey, essentially the two machines cost the same. It's just with Xbox One you get a Connect in the box, and that's $100.
you get a
I
thing
mean,
you don't want,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't really want it
and
in
you
the
can't
first
use in
place.
Japan
Yeah.
because your apartment is a bed and
Well,
a TV.
I mean, the new Connect you will be able to. It seems like it
They
just straight
also
up
said
works.
the original one would work with Steel Battalion. So who do you believe? You know.
Yeah, supposedly you can stand closer to the thing now.
Yeah,
So.
but from what I've seen, but then what I've seen is what Microsoft have put out for them.
Alright.
Yeah.
And we all
Slightly
trust them.
biased.
Right. It's like that really super cool Swish. Did you see the PS4 UI video? There's actually it's been out a couple of weeks, but it was kind of unconfirmed, as it was leaked, and now Sony have stepped up and said, yeah, this is ours. But there's all these like cool, awesome things happening in that just seamlessly, that you just you have to have the bullshit detector turned on like up to 11. It's like, yeah, it's probably gonna be kind of slow.
Well, we haven't been in this situation before, because all the social stuff, all the cross-media bar, all the chat was tacked on later when the machine. When the machine was made, these things didn't exist, and people only realised that we wanted them after the machine. They had to backwards engineer it all. Whereas this time they've come out with specific memory and hard drive space and resources
Yeah.
specifically for the OS.
I don't know though. Did you see the actual video of like the Xbox One Snap View working?
No, I didn't actually know.
Jodo.
Really?
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
It's not. Yeah. The stuff they actually showed on stage was very, very produced.
I'd be expecting the power of a mid-range
cloud.
laptop, the power of the cloud. I'd be expecting something, enough resources put aside for sort of a mid-range laptop to just run the OS and all the social crap and the chat in the
The
background.
3 OSs that thing has. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, those pictures and images and articles that were written about how all that stuff that we saw about the Xbox One was actually on high-powered PCs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
always is at
I mean
E3,
that's a standard kind of procedure for E3, though. I mean, at the same
because
because like that stuff actually works, and everything you actually put on a real hardware isn't going to work. As I said, like last time, the first TGS I went to when they were before the PS3 launched, and like just waiting in line for some piece of shit game, like the thing blue screened and crashed like 3 times.
they
Well, yeah,
they don't
do-
put together the final spec sheet for the consoles until like 4 or 5 weeks before launch. There's some dude sweating in China sitting over a pile of what's that blanking
Solder?
what's the precious metal that goes into circuit boards and stuff.
Gold.
Yeah, some gold.
Platinum.
Yeah, there's just some like very nervous
Silicon.
man sitting in 10 factories in China. Everyone's just like leaning over their workstations waiting to get the final spec sheet just before launch, and they'll go, okay,
Well, I mean, Sony has come out.
go! And then it goes nuts, and everyone goes, fucking make PS4s! Because it makes sense financially for them to wait as long as possible so they can know what the cheapest possible way of making the best possible machine on their budget is. The longer you leave it, the cheaper technology goes. So you don't make them a year before the machine comes out and like lump yourself with this expensive box. You wait until just before you want to start selling it to people. That's why the Wii had these supposed shortages and things like that, because it makes business sense to put off buying all like the massive bulk purchases until prices drop, and prices always
It's
drop.
also it's also those PR things, because you can a lot of. It's not done as much now, but it used to be the thing of engineering shortages just to make people whip people into it further for something.
Well, Sony even came out and said that they used dev kits, dev kit versions of the PS4. Microsoft did not come out and say that, so they do have.
Well, I mean, any chance they have, right, to stick one up.
I think
Right.
a dev kit at this point is basically a PC with whatever the current version of the PlayStation OS is tacked on, or the back end of the OS without.
Well, what
It's
I
all-
read was
everything's
it was an
basically
actual
PC, you know.
PS4 with just more memory. It had like twice as amount of memory. That's the only difference.
I mean, like when you think about it, like computers are just like silicon, and like silicon's just dirt. Really, it's just dirt. Like, you
just got
get
dirt in a box. You losers. Right, I'm really gonna have to go because it's Kazu's birthday.
I
again.
think we've run out of steam.
Oh, we haven't. We're just getting started on Steam, my friend.
Okay.
All right, this has been the Where Does Godzilla Poopcast. Thanks for putting up with us being super late. I'll try and put this up either tonight or in the morning. It won't happen. Yeah. So the next episode is episode 50, and we're gonna say whoop a lot and do nothing special.
Do nothing. I can't think of anything we could do.
I'm gonna do something special. I'll get really drunk. I haven't done that yet.
No, you've never done that on the podcast. If you have any ideas about what we should do or what we should make Jay do while drunk, go to gaijingamers.com and find the Where Does Godzilla Poop section on there. Twitter has us on it, sort of. It's
at WDGP.com.
Yeah, at WD that one, yeah. WDWDGP.com. Jay's on there. He's at Jason Stillwell, and he's actually started using it recently, which is disturbing, and massively overusing hashtags.
I love hashtags.
He fucking loves hashtags.
Chris
Chris is on there. He's called.
hashtag too.
Shut up! I'm doing the outro. Chris is
Okay,
on
go.
there. He's called Reason JP, and I'm at Space Endeavor. Chris also does Japanese audio wrestling, which is part of the live audio wrestling thing. So Google that. And Tanner's not on, so we don't have to pimp the thing that he does. And I can't remember what it's
Good.
called anyway. Can you?
Platform junkies.
Platform Junkies. Try that, and if it's not that,
Try that.
then
It might be something better. You never know. Like win-win.
Poor Tanner.
Go to wheredoesgodzillapoop.com. It's not as shit as it sounds. Also, rate us on iTunes if you'd be so fucking kind, because that helps. You know why. Thanks very much for listening. Love you. Bye.
Bye.